Do it. 62 Foxtrot. Said
Oh my
hut.
gosh. No, dude. I was just good
Tell me
old
about it.
times. I
Tell
I
me about
wanted to be I wanted to go into the military when I was joining the military to be a foreign observer, meaning I would do the scouting, send back the coordinates where the artillery would bomb. But during the process of me joining, they realized that I have what a lazy eye, and my lazy eye made it so that it's the most important thing with foreign observers, which is a foxtrot. It was you have to have depth vision, and only having use of one eye doesn't allow me to have very good depth vision. So that was quickly nixed, and the guy was like, "Hey, listen, I've got a better job for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, what's that?" He's like, "You should join the 13 Bravo, which is artillery. They blow shit up. It's fun." And I was like, "Blowing shit up in the military? That sounds like a great time." I was like, "Do I still get to carry like a weapon and stuff?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, you get to blow shit up and carry a weapon." And I'm like, "Can't go wrong, right?" So that's how I joined the military, was 13 Bravo, and I get to basic and I realized that it was literally a melting pot of every person that ever wanted to join the military in any branch of the service that was not allowed. It was like the worst of the worst people. And it was just like, how in the world did we get into the position that we're not even using artillery and yet we're beefing up the artillery like this? Is because they were the unwanted children. And I was in the midst of the unwanted children, and it didn't make me feel very good at that moment.
I know a lot of people who went to training down in Lawton, so I'm not gonna name any names, but were they all unwanted? Is that what you're saying, Dave?
Yes, they are. All of them were unneeded and unwanted, and they're like, I have to serve. And they're like, well, I'll just give them a spot. Let's feel bad for them. I'm sorry if anybody out there is a field artillery, but you guys know it as well as I do.
Bro. Okay, so we've
I
been
spent
watching.
enough years in the field artillery to know what's up.
What's up, dude?
What's
The
up?
queen, the queen of battle, as they're called.
I mean, yes. No, no, no. That's bro. Don't insult the artillery. The queen of the queen of battles, the infantry. We're the king of battle. But with that being said, I shouldn't say we're the king of battle because I no longer participate in blowing shit up. So the artillery is the king of battle. But as everybody knows, the king of battle can, the king on a chessboard only can move one space at a time. And then when you kill the king, the game's over. So essentially, it's kind of warped because the queen's the most valuable piece, and those are the infantry. So everybody's like king of battle, queen of battle, and it's like actually, yes, the king is important, but the queen gets shit done. So shout out to all the infantry out there. John, I love you.
Very good, man. I'm so glad we started out with that military explanation for
I
everybody.
mean, whatever.
I hope that King Charles is getting training like you, bro.
Dude, speaking of military, that sneaky King Charles photo in there, bro. That was pretty cool. If you guys haven't seen, look at Mark's artwork that he put together today. This is not going to be like any other episode we've done ever.
Dude, some of this stuff just writes itself.
You know, it's just we want to hang out with you guys and kind of just see what's up.
Yeah, dude. I was watching the game last night, dude. Booker dropped 47. I didn't get all the way through, but there was this. I really think that like there's an issue the Nuggets have right now, and it's called the Suns. Like, it seemed like they
Chris
were ready for it,
Paulus
bro.
sons.
I know. Seemed like they were ready for it. Like, KD almost was like, "Look, we're gonna do this together." Booker's like, "I'm good. I've been here before." And down 2-0, it feels like they just, asserted their will. So,
Is it? I mean, like my question though is that when you go to another when a team is higher ranked than you are and you're going to play at their place first, getting down to nothing isn't a knock on them because it's
no,
home court advantage.
but it
Like that's
seems like
just the way it
every
is.
year, like the first team that goes down 2-0, and it feels like they're on the brink, and then they do this,
Bam.
they come back, they tie it up, and you're like, "Oh yeah, we're supposed to remember that, a series doesn't really start with two great teams until game 5."
Right.
Like, just it's probably going to go 2-2. You might one of the teams like early in this second round, like teams are just stealing game one, you know. But then it kind of like levels out, and the better team takes the lead, and then it's like it's a dogfight. So, you know, game five, these series, you know, it's all about adjustments and stuff. So, yeah, the Sixers, man, they came out, they figured out how to get a win with Harden, and then they dropped the next two. So it's like they're not really feeling great anymore, even though they got that game one win.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people cry before, but Embiid crying, that was a classic cry.
You know, I missed the actual. I haven't seen the video yet.
Yeah, he was given the MVP trophy, and I think it was his mother standing next to him. And his son went running to him, which would probably make me cry if I was receiving a an MVP trophy. And his son came running to him, and he picked up his son, and then he starts crying, and then his mom was like, "Stop crying, people are watching," which is perfect. I mean, like I love it when parents step up for children and tell them to stop crying.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, but it made me start thinking, bro. Think about this. So we had 2 MVPs from Giannis, 2 MVPs by Jokic, and then 1 MVP so far by Embiid. Like, it's crazy that the NBA is changing so drastically, yet the MVPs are still given out to big men.
7-footers.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Well, I think the game is always going to naturally be a little bit easier for people with like crazy amount of size. But you're right. We've seen players like Steph Curry. Well, one player like Steph Curry, but a much more like energetic downhill attacking.
So, Frank?
You know, knock down the three, stretch the court. That's really been the game. And you know, Embiid can shoot the three, but a lot of people question the value of that. You know, Jokic can shoot the three for sure, but once again, people question how much you want that happening throughout the course of a game. And then Giannis doesn't shoot the three really. So, yeah, you're right, man. It's a lot of big guys who understand how to, you know, another thing is, I mean, Embiid was drafted really early in the draft, but the other two guys, you know, they weren't. So that's one thing that's also a promising thing about, you know, draft potential, draft development, draft for your system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, you know, one of the things like we watch like the Knicks is they've been kind of like the opposite of that over the years, but we're at least getting to watch that series like ramp up. How do you think the Knicks are going to be able to, you know, keep going? I mean, you think they're going to be able to tie this thing up, or is this going to be keep the lead and put a, you know?
The Knicks just look good right now. You know, they look like a team. And let's just be honest. I mean, the Heat, yes, with Jimmy Butler are a better team, but he sprained his ankle pretty good, man. And sometimes even when you're playing and you're back at 60% or 70%, like you're a shell of who you are. Even if you do well in one game, you're going to be so hurting from that game that the next game is going to be difficult. So, I mean, do I think that the Heat can pull it off? I mean, maybe they can limp into the Western Conference. And if they limp into the Western Conference, that's as far as they're going. You know, but it just sucks they weren't healthy because I feel like the Heat could have done something. Well, but as far as beating beating any of the other teams on the other side, I just don't think it's plausible.
I want to challenge that real quick. What if they limp into the conference finals but continue to get healthier? Like, I heard Tyler Hero's season was over, but it's like on a handbrake or whatever exactly it was, I'm not sure, but like that's like a month, maybe 6 weeks.
Did you
right?
see him do it? I watched it. It was horrible, dude. And he hit a three afterwards.
Right. But my point is this, like, I think if they play long enough, he might be able to come back. Same with Butler. If they can stay alive long enough, maybe they get healthy. Like, a lot of teams with like season-ending injuries, it's like, okay, they're not going to get healthy. We know enough about the Heat.
Sure. I just think for basketball, I think for the Knicks making it to the Western Conference Finals,
Eastern
Conference, so thank you, is much better for basketball than the Heat doing it because, you know, it's been so long since the Knicks have done it. I think it would energize and supercharge that Knick organization, and to me that's important because, you know, there's certain things that I look at Sam Presti and what he's capable of doing, and if the Knicks need pieces moved or they have this or that, Sam's already proven that he'll give the Knicks what they want or work with them. So that's the easiest way to pick up draft picks or, you know, pick up, you know, players if you already have an organization that is willing to work with you over a different organization. Because if you think we're the only team that was offering, you know, three assets for that 11th pick. No, we weren't. It was just we were offering slightly better, or even not even better, but just more of a likable relationship, and that's what a lot of GMs it's about, you know. So I don't know. I look at the Knicks and I say I want them doing well because it's
What do they
proven
need to
that
do?
we'll work with them.
What do you need? What do they need to do to win today, Miami, and really get back?
Defense, man. They
Really,
just got to get that
really.
lockdown defense, and it's that old Nick mentality, man. Like we've seen it so far this series, where it's just like, "Urgh," you know, and they're getting out there. You know, Jalen Brunson hustling. You know, Knicks just play better at home. It's not a knock on them.
Yeah, but they got to get this one on the road, and that's where I'm kind of like they can play defense. Defense travels, but you're gonna have to score, and like Brunson can't get it done by himself. So I feel like the one thing that has been surprising about the Knicks is the depth of role players that they've been able to get. Like especially like Mitchell Robinson
Oh
when
yeah,
Randall's down, he steps up, and then Hartenstein steps up when Robinson goes out. Like they have good pieces, and that was one thing I wasn't giving him credit for. Like coming into the playoffs, I was like, I think we know what we can expect from the Knicks. But then when they get really deep in their bench, you're like, well, that's a good NBA player, and that's a good NBA player. Like, well, if they're all on the same page, like you're saying, playing great defense, competing, good things can happen. So, yeah, I mean, it should be a fun game. I'm excited.
dude. And what better gift can you give the New York Knicks fans than a chance to do this? Because if Milwaukee wins against the Heat, there's not a chance that Knicks are going to win. Just not. You know, like they could have taken it to 6 games, but the Milwaukee would have just, they outscored them, outplayed them, all that stuff. So, good job for the Knicks.
What they got to do is bring one more game back to Madison Square Garden.
One more.
Get at least one win, and then that'll happen, right?
Yep.
Will it happen anyway? Yeah, it's gonna happen anyway. Because they'll
We'll
go
find
two
out.
games and Miami, because it's tied 1-1, so they're gonna have one more game back in New York anyway because they won one game. But anyway,
I like
um,
Mitchell Robinson. I'll take him on the Thunder.
dude, we were like, what are we gonna talk about today? And they were like, King Charles. That was the number one
King
subject, but we
Charles.
don't
Oh,
actually want to
hell.
talk about King Charles at all.
King Charles.
We don't. He
Dude, listen, like, when we're talking about King Charles, we always have to put in the same sentence Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead, or I always think about him as like the Prince John from Robin Hood, the
Ooh.
thumb sucking tiger. So where's mommy? But anyway,
He's a 70-year-old man. I don't think he sucks his thumb anymore, but I could be wrong.
I think he does. Bro.
I think he has Camilla do it for him. Oh.
Suck my big toe.
Oh. Anyways, so all hail new King
All hail.
Charles.
All right, dude. Now we're done with that. All right, so you mentioned Beavis and Butthead. All right, so we were watching one, and the he says I think Beavis hurt his Tesla coils or something.
Testicles, yeah.
Tesla coils or something. And we're like, that sounds like Tesla coil, and we're like, all right, but take a bow, bro.
Yes, dude.
Tell us about Take a Bow.
Take a bow.
That's the episode where he says, I think he hurt his Tesla coils. You haven't seen it?
Oh yeah, he hits him in the balls, yeah, and then makes him lean over, yeah.
Take a bow, and I feel like we should all take a bow today. I had my kids watch that.
Dude, there's so many
They're like,
good.
how come you laugh every time you start watching Beavis and Butthead? So I had them watch that one, and then they started laughing too.
I have been a fan of South Park for so long.
Yeah.
I remember finding it in high school and just being like, this is so dirty and I love it, right? But when I started watching the new Beavis and Butthead, like I just can't help myself. Like every part of it, like when they talk about Nicki Minaj and saying that her butt is like Pinocchio. Every time she lies, it gets bigger and bigger. Like,
And he was like, I
it's
wish
just-
my dong was like that.
yeah.
Every time I lie.
Every time I lie, I wish my schlong would get bigger. I wouldn't have to do anything. I would just lie, and then I wouldn't lie, and then I would lie, and then wouldn't lie.
He explained playing with himself. Yeah, that was by lying.
Dude, what was that? What was that comment one of our listeners said? we were talking about it. Tubin made a comment about
Oh yeah, dude, somebody said that it was a tubular episode. And I
tubular
was like,
episode.
I'm like, what the hell is a tubular episode? So I guess it's not an insult, but
Not
at
an
first I was, I don't know what that means. We're too old.
No,
That's it.
I not even like the fact that the play on the words, you know,
Jeffrey Tubin. I mean,
Tubin.
I sent you that video. Did you watch
Getting
it?
that lube in with that tubin.
I have the actual video of Tubin Lubin.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I didn't.
I'm
Do you not
good.
have
I
the
remember
original?
it. I remember it.
Yeah, but you watched that where he was like asking him about getting fired and everything, and
I really
mean,
don't know how
it's
to talk
just-
about this, but I will say the last 3 years have been everything has gone amazing. Bullshit.
Oh,
Once you
man.
pull out a micro like that, your life will never be the same.
Hey, I think last time we supported him for making his own decisions, but just encouraged him to make better decisions, and then people really didn't appreciate it. We got more thumbs down than any podcast we've
We
done
did get more
recently.
thumbs down.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful.
How
And
many did
earned
we
it.
get?
Like 4, which is, I mean, look, we usually don't get many. One thing that blows me away, and we don't usually talk about this, but like the percentage of positive that we get, we're at 98.7% positive. Now,
Nice, dude.
we do not deserve that.
No, we're
okay? It
assholes.
just, yeah, and it
I mean,
just
I've never
means-
had a 98 point something percentage positivity feedback. That's great.
What it means to me is that anybody who doesn't like us, we get them to go away really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just means that we've really qualified our people.
Dude,
So
we're either like the perfect ass plug for you, or we're like sand in the asshole. Like
Right.
there's either or. There's no like
Right.
in between.
And I think what happens a lot of times is like, if you're not sanding the asshole, people will just hang around. But like, when you're sanding the asshole, they're like, thumbs down. Don't ever want to see those guys again, and they go away.
Yes, dude. Yes,
So,
dude. Well, I
I
do
don't
the
know.
same thing when I watch a stupid podcast, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "What the hell is this shit?" And then I don't want to ever see them again. So I do the same thing. So I can't
Oh, I
blame
get
people
it.
for doing it.
Oh no, and I encourage it. And unfortunately, we're not for everybody. It's it's something that I think actually in a really positive way.
We
because
deserve it, Colum. I'll be honest with you.
I-
We pick subjects that are a little sensitive.
yeah, and then we kind of like go like, no, that was fun. That was like playing in the mud. Let's go do it again.
Dude, speaking of mud,
Yeah.
when we were younger, we owned this property in Pennsylvania.
A lot of people play in the mud, bro.
Yeah, man. And we would go swimming in the lake. And I think the lake was like 45 or 47 degrees, something like that. It was really cold. And everybody's like, you shouldn't swim in there. It's really cold and there's snakes. But we still did. It didn't give a shit. But we would get done and we would realize that we had to walk all the way up to, which is a hill, all the way up to the house. And we wouldn't want to walk up there because we'd be freezing cold. So we would roll around the mud and then walk up because we wouldn't be cold enough. We had mud on us. And my
I've got
mom
some
used to get
pictures
so
of-
mad at us.
I've got some pictures of us covered in mud.
Yes. What's
I
up,
don't know
Matt?
where they are, but Southern Oklahoma, man, shout out for sure.
Dude,
So
Southern Oklahoma, man, I really enjoy Southern Oklahoma.
okay,
I still own property in Lawton. That's not really Southern, but it's more Southern than most places in Oklahoma, and I enjoy it, man. There's a lot of great things around that area.
all right. We grew up in Oklahoma since we were like 10 years old until about 25 range. That's when we both kind of got out. So, and then we've been back and forth, like you said, you own a house. So about 20 years in total in Oklahoma. So I know we've got a few stories to tell about growing up in Oklahoma. I think the statute
We
of
actually have some
limitations-
laws that were written, because of us
Yeah,
in
we're like,
Oklahoma.
that's technically not against the law.
So
incredible.
we never broke the law because we did it before the law was written. So in theory, we were the reason the law was written, but didn't break the law.
All right.
There we go.
So
We'll tell you about those later, guys. Those are
Okay.
some fun stories.
I'm trying to think of one that isn't like Matt. Come on.
No, yes, Lawton is ghetto area, but I own a house by the lake and by the Mount Scott, so that is If you're gonna live in Lawton, Oklahoma, that's the place to live. But you're right, Lawton, Oklahoma's get.
Okay, one time we killed a rattlesnake in Lawton. How about that one?
Nice, dude.
Remember that? We were on that.
Oh yeah,
retreat.
that strip.
Yeah, and it's night walking and we
Sup,
saw a
Unc?
rattlesnake and we should have let it go. You should
Yeah,
not fuck with rattlesnakes.
I
but
know, like
we
I don't
had
get
to
the
take
whole
prize,
killing
bro.
of it. Like, let's try to kill a snake because we saw a snake. Like,
Yeah, but we did that. We did.
we
that
weren't
with
fucking Boy
comprehensive.
Scouts, man.
I know, but we couldn't help ourselves.
Remember
if we
that
saw
time?
poisonous
Remember
snake,
that
we'd
time in the
kill it.
mountains that like we were convinced that if we go hiking at a certain time in the mountains that we could find mushrooms in Lawton,
And we did, bro.
and we did.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh, it was amazing.
There was
we
It works.
we hiked up Mount Scott one time because we were convinced at that particular day we were gonna find some, and guess what? We hit the mother load.
I wouldn't say the mother load. Like
I
the
mean,
thing
mother
about
load for 3 kids and
wild mushrooms don't have the same potency, and they also
Sup, Sammy?
have a potential like downside of like scaring
Death?
the shit out of you because you're so like yeah. It wasn't as good as just buying them from your dealer, but
No,
now you
but
don't have to buy them from a dealer.
we
bro.
don't
You
have to
can-
buy 'em
they're
from a dealer.
legal. They're legal in Denver, I think. They're legal in
DC.
Oregon. They're illegal in DC. I mean,
Legal?
Yeah.
I think there's like
So-
7 states in America that you can buy them pretty much and be good.
Yeah. Unc and Sammy Dog, thanks for joining us, guys.
Love you
Frank,
guys.
Ryan, Matt, you
Sammy.
guys are awesome. This was a last second. Let's just see.
Dude, all right, let's just
We
be
can-
honest. Mark and I, we have these conversations before and after we get have our pods, and it's really based around everything that we've thrown in here, and it's all weird shit, and it's always like we should just push play, and let these people listen to our weird shit that we say, and so today we just push play, and we're gonna talk about the weird shit that we saw, and I think you guys, most of you guys that have tolerated us for this long will at least
Yeah.
tolerate this part.
And we're calling it Saturday Morning Wood, and we're hoping that that offensive name will scare off anybody who doesn't want some wood.
I like a morning wood. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, and if you get a
All
chance,
your other brothers can't
watch
deny.
the Beavis and Butthead Morning Wood Fairy. It's
Morning Wood Fairy by
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead, guys.
it's great. Here, Dave, you talk. I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
All right, you should pull it up. So
Morning
what
Wood,
else is up,
bro.
guys? What else is up?
What's better than Morning Wood?
What is better than morning wood? There's a lot of things better than morning wood, like a good blunt, cocaine off of a nipple.
We're gonna get in trouble, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, dude.
There are limitations to things that we can say on YouTube.
Oh, well, okay. Don't do this at home. There.
Don't do it at all.
Don't do it at all.
Okay.
Oh my god, dude.
I know it's like we're hanging out with our friends, but it's like I don't know if we're allowed to hang out with our friends that way.
Well, I think there's appropriate things we can talk about and inappropriate things.
Right.
And I think we're always on that line when we talk.
Which beyond the line,
What line?
there is no line.
All right,
Like-
Mark's looking up Fairy Wood right now by Beavis and Butthead. It is brilliant if you haven't seen it. And Beavis and Butthead has turned into Mark's and my flagship show that we watch together by sending each other clips whenever we see a good one. All right, here you go, Mark.
Can anybody,
They're
I just
We
want
can
to make
see.
sure anybody,
Your
can you
life.
hear though?
Cases of child abuse and neglect go
I think so.
unreported because someone didn't
Yeah.
want to get involved. Call Childline if you suspect child abuse or neglect.
Paid for with Pennsildemania
All right, there
taxpayer
you go. We got
dollars.
an ad, a free ad, guys. Here.
Maybe there's like a morning wood fairy, you know, like the tooth fairy.
Morning wood fairy? You mean like with a magic wand or something?
A wand.
Damn it, Beavis, quit screwing around. We've got scientific work to do. Besides, there's no such thing as fairies. Fairies are for dill holes.
Oh, that fairy in Peter Pan had a pretty nice butt. Gave me a boner. Hey, buddy, I got morning wood. What happened? I had a dream I got a stiffy.
Maybe morning wood is supposed to be a mystery. It's like the secret is too dangerous.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just glad it happens.
Yeah.
That's perfect, bro.
So, I hope you guys enjoy Saturday
See, I
Morning
can't.
Wood.
Every time I watch any clip, it just makes me hurt. I laugh so much.
I know. Dude. My kids are like, "Are you watching Beavis and Butthead?" Because you're laughing.
How'd you guys know?
'Cause you sit there and
I
laugh.
even try like some of our best friends from high school, Adam and Brian. I wish I could get them to like it. They just don't, man. And every time I send them one, dude, it's just like I run up against the wall. They're like, "Nope, we don't like Beavis and Butthead." I'm like, "All right, cool," but I can't help it. I laugh every fucking time. So one of these times, I'm gonna get something that they're gonna like and force it down their throats. You will like this.
Look, man. Yeah. So, I feel like our goal is to not make a show with this today. It's just to not make a show. That's it. We're just gonna do hangout. That's it.
That's it.
Call it Morning Wood.
Just letting this morning wood soak.
Okay. So, but before we're getting on, you said I gotta check out something out. About an Australian who's facing a flogging, bro, in Indonesia. So, you're gonna have to tell me
Holy shit, Sammy.
what's up. What's up?
Man, that is amazing. A Melbourne's Tiger top with the signatures including Andrew Gaze, Dave Simmons, and Warwick Giddy. That's amazing. And then you asked if I would like it. Man, how about this, dude? You pick. You see these 3 jerseys right here? If you do that, I will send you one of these 3 jerseys in exchange, Sammy. You pick which jersey. You got the Dort orange, got the Giddy white. Of course, you probably go with Giddy or Shea City Edition. So you pick,
Damn.
and we'll make that work.
Sammy, that's
So
pretty dope.
I'll put my
Dave.
email here so we can work that out.
Cool. Very cool. I love it, man.
Dude,
Awesome. So-
jersey swaps, man. That's what I love doing, by the way, Sammy. It's one of my things. I really enjoy doing it with anybody, especially when I post these up here.
That's cool. So,
Fucking love you, Sammy.
very, very cool. All right. So, I want to change the subject from what I had. So let's talk Lakers Warriors, bro. Let's talk
All
about
right.
the Lakers Warriors. So, what do you think is gonna happen?
Lakers, Warriors. Well, I think LeBron thinks he's not done, right? But with the way that Anthony Davis is playing, he's done. So this is kind of a critical year for the Lakers. Either A, they're going to blow up the
So you don't think they're gonna make it?
roster. They have to get to the Western Conference Finals for them not to blow up the roster. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, do they have enough to be able to beat Golden State? And I don't know, but LeBron is always clutch in the playoffs, and I don't know if Golden State has enough to stop LeBron if LeBron's going off. So I think that's, can the Lakers win? But yes, but it's going to take every single thing that LeBron has to be able to pull this off. Does he still have that in the tank? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I keep going back and forth in this, and I absolutely think that I want LeBron to have another chance at a championship, especially a 7 seed would be brilliant. I mean, imagine the Knicks and the Lakers making it to the championship. A lot of shit would have to go wrong, and a lot of shit would have to go right. But the reality is that would be a fun series to watch because there's 2 teams that nobody would have ever thought would have made it this year.
That's true. There's a certain DNA of like a championship team, and we've heard LeBron talk about it a bit in the locker room. He was like, we're going to level up, right? We just got past level 1, now we go to level 2. Gets harder, right? And teams have the ability to get better throughout the playoffs. And as the postseason wears on, they find another gear. They go deeper in their roster.
Yep.
Different things like that. So it'll be interesting. I think the Lakers are definitely a different team than what we were watching earlier in the season, where they were having trouble figuring it out. And now I'm looking at them. I'm like, Hachimura's playing really good. Schroeder's playing pretty good. They've got some depth. They're figuring out what they're trying to do, and they're getting better, and they're kind of like learning each other's skills. Now, if you're not like really, 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 really like finals competition every year, then waiting that late to figure it out can really be detrimental. But
I just hope it doesn't matter. I hope the Suns like start waking up like they did last night, and they just put a pedal to the metal, and it doesn't matter because I'm with you on. I hate the Lakers. I hate what they did to Russ. I hate Golden State with a passion. Like it doesn't matter what side of the bay they are on. I still fucking hate them. Like Golden State sucks balls, and
Yeah.
I look at it like I want both of them to not even have a chance against the Suns. And when it's all said and done, I want the Suns to be able to look at it and be like, yeah, championship number 1. Because as much as I hate the KD left us like he did, I'm ready to move on because we would have never had this team that we have if he didn't do that. And I'll always be grateful and thankful for that, because the reality is that Sam is a better GM because of it. The coaching staff is brand new because of it. And what we've been able to accomplish since KD left is truly spectacular. So as much as I want to hate what KD did, I will always be grateful for the amazing years he brought Oklahoma City. So I want him to win a championship without Golden State. I want him to win a championship without anybody else except for Booker, because it would be him leading the Suns to a championship.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you, Sammy. I'll get right on that.
it was painful to see him leave and have success. There's no doubt about that. But in the end, like all former Thunder players, I really want them to have success. I don't want to be like a resentful fan base. And we're too small of a market to be like holding grudges. And that might sound ridiculous, but it just like having a top 20 player, whatever he is, come through your organization and spend so many great years and establish a reputation, you got to like look back and be like, that was special, even though it wasn't, it didn't end up how we all wanted it to. I read an interesting article by Barry Trammell last night, and his articles sometimes piss me off, but this one was just kind of talking about the taking Presti's comments and saying like the modern NBA would have really fit really well for the past team. You're talking about Jeff Green, his continued success in the NBA until 34, I think, or something like that. Like Harden, Russ, KD, like all these guys were in the playoffs or are in the playoffs. Like all these guys are really good players on good teams.
Yep.
And it just was like they were almost too early for their time. And
you're absolutely right.
I feel like there's, like you said, a lot of lessons to be learned from those experiences, especially specifically from Presti in team building concepts. How can he improve? How can he take it up a notch? So I feel like incredibly excited knowing that, like, I feel like what you're saying, like those years weren't like a complete loss just because we didn't win it all.
Yeah.
And that's something that's hard to remember in sports. Like there's only one championship, but like those are like incredibly special years. I'd say
the joy. I mean, think about it. I mean, like when you get a chance to watch your team have success in the playoffs, man. I mean, like every morning you're waking up, you're happy. Every night you're going to bed and you're like, you know what? I'll fucking have an extra beer because fucking my team's doing well. Like it's the fucking bee's knees, man.
Yeah.
Like sounds weird and crazy, but it's the same endorphins as when you have a child, like you're just pumping with endorphins of like just happiness and joy, and then all of a sudden like the reality hits you and your child's screaming and all this other stuff like a couple weeks down the road, just like when a couple weeks down the road your team's out of it. But it's always so much fun to be able to watch it, and especially with the Thunder and what they did against Golden State and what they did against at the time Miami. It was just like you felt like this was the beginning of something great. And that's why when we're looking at this team that we have, it's bro, it's money, because we see the same things, and it's something that when you see it, you know it, and that's what's so great about it.
Yeah, one of the things that Trammell mentioned was that Presti said something about if you're waiting for the Red Sea to part or the seas to part before it's your turn, it'll never happen. And one of the things that was special about that Thunder team, even though they didn't win, was we were in the midst of historically great teams all around us, and we felt like it was still our time.
Mm.
We didn't feel like we had to wait our turn. We went after the Spurs, in the middle of the end of their time, but
Golden
like
State's beginning,
Golden State's beginning, the
Lakers
beginning
end.
in the beginning of LeBron in winning championships. His
In
first
Miami.
championship in Miami was against us, and like you said, the end of Kobe's legacy. Our first year in the playoffs was when the Lakers beat us, and then they went on to win the championship. I think the next year we went and we got beat by the Mavericks, who went on to win a championship. We beat the Spurs the year after they won a championship, and then the year that they beat us, they went on to win a championship.
Yeah.
Like, these things matter.
Yeah.
And yeah, like historically, when people look back and they're like, "Oh, that was one of the greatest teams ever," one of the greatest teams ever, they don't really give the Thunder enough credit, because the reality is, these teams that people look at and say that was like one of maybe top 5 teams in the history of the NBA, those are the teams that were beating us. Like, there were 50 years out of the last 75 years where those teams would have won championships. But we ran into historically great teams, and we almost still kicked down the door against the Warriors in that 73-win game. Team, when we got up 3-1. Like,
Crazy.
right. We saw great stuff, and we all feel it. We all feel like it's coming back.
And that's why, for me, it's important to cheer for the ones that are still left in the playoffs every year, because in a way, like, the happiness and joy, and the most I remember about KD and playing inside the Oklahoma City Chesapeake Arena at the time, was when he would, the crowd would be going crazy, bro, and you'd feed off the crowd, and he would hit back-to-back threes or a massive dunk or a block or whatever, like. And I see that, and I cannot wait for these young players to have that experience. Cannot wait. Like, that's going to be monumentally changing their lives when they have, a mass amount of fans cheering for them in such a way that the whole place is rocking. They've never had that experience yet. Playoff basketball is different, and when you have your team that believes in you, especially like the Oklahoma City Thunder fans will this next year, they'll all be there. Almost every game will be maxed out. Every game will be full, and people are going to be taking on, and it's going to be exciting because, I want to say that the Thunder are going to be a top 4 team, but the reality is that we don't know how good this team's going to be with Chet yet. We don't know how good this team's going to be with whatever pieces Sam adds on.
Let's just
it's crazy,
remove
bro.
Chet, like his actual game, okay, from the conversation, or him as a person. But just imagine you took and you inserted a player that was top 2 for Rookie of the Year to this next group after already having a top 2 Rookie of the Year guy last year. What will that do for our win total if we just improve a little bit? All those guys get a year older, and then you add on top of that a top 2 Rookie of the Year candidate.
Well, I think if you want to look at that, you really have to take a step back and see what J-Dub did. Yes, different positions, yes, different mentalities and all this other stuff. But rookie, second, in MVP or Rookie of the Year voting, you have to take that in consideration. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying J-Dub and Chet. How many wins did J-Dub help us win versus how many wins will Chet help us win? And I look at it and I say that I feel like J-Dub was the reason why we won 7 games. Without him, we probably would have lost. So then I want to put those 7 games on Chet and say, that's your baseline. Because I don't know what the mentality of him playing after this, injury. So I want to say the baseline 7. So just that, we're at 47 games that we were winning without anybody else getting better. I mean, that's without Shea getting better. That's without Dort getting better. That's without J Dub having a massive increase in the year, which I'm telling you guys, this next year for him is going to be insane. So I think that we can plus 12 next year. Baseline. You know, with
that
Chet.
would put us into like a. Somebody said if we did something like that, that would be like a historically great team.
Yeah, 52 wins.
Oh,
I mean,
plus
it's not
12 wins. I thought you were saying plus 12 points. I was
no,
like,
no, no. Just 12 wins. So we had 40 wins this year with the playoffs. So really 51 wins is I think our baseline, taking out the playoff win. So to me, like that's where I'm circling and saying, 51 is your baseline. And if we can get to that 51 mark, then what do we like? If there was this year, it would be 7 games behind number 1 seed, which would put us again top 4, top 5. So it's in that spot right there. Do I think this next year is going to be the same? No, I think we'll have a couple 60 win teams in the West next year. So I do think that there's going to be a bigger gap. So we could end up being in a position that we get 54 or 55 wins next year, and we're only a few games back behind first place. That's the reality of this, and a lot of people won't, disagree or agree with us. But the reality is, it doesn't really matter because we don't know how good this team's going to be or how bad this team is going to be until we get to February. That's really the mark. Like if we're 5 or 6 games or 7 games or 10 games above 500 in February, then we know that we're going to be really good shape.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't have those crazy fans here in the U.S. At least not except for in Philadelphia. But
we get people that like get seriously injured after games because there are hooligans, right?
Right.
That still roam the streets after games to pick on the other team's fans. And
Right.
we've experienced similar to that with baseball when Mark and I and our friends and John, we went to Boston Stadium, Fenway, thank you. And we were Yankees fans and we're playing against Boston, and yeah, we got beer thrown at us, and we had people yelling and screaming at us, following us to the subway, telling us to get out of it. It was pretty intense. So like we do have crazy fans, but I wouldn't call it on any level as the European fans, and especially with football, like the way that you guys are is insane. Like the hooligans that will go and just beat the shit out of everybody, and it's amazing. Like you have fans that literally they charter buses and they drive like 14 hours in these buses that are all designed to get the fans to the stadium. Like it's intense, man. Like I've never seen a fan base like that, and I hope one day it gets crazy like that for us.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people, it feels weird because it shouldn't be like this, but a lot of people like kind of don't know how good of fans the Thunder fans can be, because I don't know, man. Early in the life of the Thunder, it felt like we had some of the best fans in the NBA that were going to be there through thick and thin, no matter what. And yeah, a lot of them got really hurt. I knew some people who didn't feel like the ownership was willing to invest, and they
Yeah.
were paying a lot of money for tickets and things like that. But they got some great basketball. But I was just surprised how long it took this season for fans to really start showing up in force.
You're right.
I think it wasn't really until the start of the new year when they came back from that road trip where they won, I think, 5 games in a row. And then it was like, okay, the fans were starting to pick up on it, but it still took time.
Yeah.
That's unusual for us. And there's a level, like, we didn't get a chance to play the playing game at home. That's something you earn, and we didn't get that chance to see Chesapeake rock out for a do or die situation.
Dude,
but
and it gets crazy there, but it's not on the same level of having 60 70,000 fans in the stands. And
But the way you're talking about the players feeding off of it and having a chance, like especially when you talk about a big game player like Giddey, like
Yeah.
who loves
Oh,
to play
Giddey's
his
so
biggest
good.
games, like think about that, man. Like he put up like an incredible stat line, and then not just stat line, but he played winning
thanks, Frank. You too, man.
winning basketball the entire fucking time, game sealing type rebounds and stuff, and he did it away. That's
Yeah.
like for a young player, that's a little less understood how important that is. But like doing it at home Like that's still important, but doing it away means that you didn't get that energy from the crowd, which means that like you're a competitor and that competitive fire burns. And I think like when I heard Pressy say like certain players in the past had such a competitive fire that took them further than their God-given natural athletic ability could, and they were able to do stuff that was almost superhuman because of how competitive they were. And we haven't we haven't really seen Giddy start to scratch the surface, but it's coming. It's a different level. It's very little understood, I think. But when he decides that he wants to win, it's kind of like nothing because of his size, nothing can stop him from
He's
getting
going
to the
straight
ball.
downhill, man.
He can just go get it. And he's learning how to like lock in, and then when he goes to his full like potential, which we're talking like peak of his prime, maybe 5 or 7 years away, people are gonna have issues because it's like certain players when they decide they want to do something, you cannot stop them.
Can't, man. Just can't. I think that's what's exciting about recognizing each individual person on this team and why Sam Presti picked them up and why Coach D is so elite with these guys. It's the downhill mentality, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, each one of these guys tack the hole with that tiger mentality, and it makes it very difficult to stop. But there is a difference with Josh Giddey's intensity than anybody else's that I've seen on the team. Like he recognizes the big moments before the big moments even happen, and he's able to rev it up and get there. And because of that, like yes, we have Shea as our leader. But as this team is getting older, you're going to see Josh take this silence, in a way, leadership from the team. And in that fourth quarter, you're going to see how it's designed to really highlight what Josh can do. And I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about it in so many different ways. And man, I was just reading this article. It's kind of a swap of subjects of sorts. But talking about Josh got me thinking about the article of the Australian guy in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that, dude?
You were telling me a bit about it. Tell me more, though.
So this dude in Indonesia decided it was a great idea to get drunk and then go streaking. Probably did the Will Ferrell thing. We're going streaking to the gymnasium. Everybody, old school.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was out and he started streaking, which is highly illegal in Indonesia, guys, don't do that. He attacked a fisherman on a motorbike that caused him to crash and have 50 stitches to fix his foot. 50 fucking stitches. So they arrested him, and then they decided that he's up for 5 years in prison and a flogging. Like, a flogging. I had no idea that that's part of a punishment these days still, but my heart goes out to that Indonesian. First of all, don't drink alcohol in Indonesia. And then don't go streaking, and then don't try to kill somebody on a motorbike. So there's strike 3.
Lessons learned from other people's mistakes. Title of our new book.
Don't be a dumbass.
Dude, don't party where the punishments include flogging.
Or prison time. I mean, like, there's so many
everywhere.
places in the world that you can go party that don't include prison time. Just saying, guys.
Yeah.
Don't think with your dick, think with your brain. I think that's how it goes.
Well, shit, I can't say I've ever been there, so I don't know what it's like. But man, they might have some crazy like alcohol that makes you do crazy shit, bro.
I thought you were talking about streaking. I was like, oh yeah, guilty. I've gotten in trouble for that.
You got in trouble for it?
Bruh, man.
What'd you get in trouble for? I've never been caught streaking. I mean,
Yeah, dude. Good times, man.
you don't want to talk about it?
What's that?
You don't want to talk about it?
Well, I mean, it was
That's
more.
all right, bro. We'll talk about
It was more the choices of that I made while I was streaking that were the questionable choices, bro. Like attacking a police officer
No.
or police vehicle. Like that was not very smart. So I thought,
Yeah, I was like officer.
yeah, dude, no. You don't attack the officers. You attack the police vehicles. So I was like, fuck the police. And then the lights went on and I was like, oh yeah, I got this. Like
My
I was gonna
home.
scare them, you know?
My home, my
Bro,
home,
it
my
was
home.
not the right choice, man.
My home.
Not the right choice. I did not scare them. They were not intimidated by me, and I got tasered enough times to recognize I made a mistake.
And that's why we support Dylan Brooks. Because everybody.
Allegedly, guys, allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, dude. Next time we get on, we need to talk a little bit about some Alaska stories because we
Ooh,
had some,
yes. And
some
some
classic
Maine stories, man. Alaska and Maine, because those are two different opposite sides of the country, bro.
yeah,
Of the United
Continent.
States.
continent.
Dude, whatever it is, bro. It's on the
Dude,
opposite sides.
I'm telling you, we put our canoe in places I don't know anybody's ever canoed before. I mean,
Bro.
nobody since like
Dude.
I'd say like in like 50 years.
In Alaska, when we were crossing the Sound, right? The look that people were giving us when we were doing so on their boats, like it looked like we were probably the first people to put canoes in the Sound for probably, I don't know, like 60, 70 years. And
Well,
I'm not
the way the
exaggerating.
otters and the seals were looking at us too was like we were crazy.
Streaking in Australia is, man, somebody needs to go to Australia.
Is that Sam? Is that something that's like strongly related to NBL? Like, is there like? I'm sorry, not NBL. I mean AFL. Like, is there some correlation between AFL and streaking? That's what I want to know. Because if I mean AFL is the national sport, streaking is the national sport.
Man, I'm just a fan of any place that you can go streaking for free. For free.
For free.
Take a chicken sandwich and waffle fries for free. Bitch, I said now.
Dude, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think Mwani's got it for sure. We got the brightest future.
Brightest,
And
man.
They don't care. They don't know. But what happened last time gave us a taste for like how intense the spotlight of the entire NBA world can be when it's all on your city. And it was incredible. It was like
It was
nothing
hard
I
though
ever
because our
imagined.
media didn't know how to handle it.
No, they didn't.
They're like, "Oh, the spotlight's watching us. What we're gonna do? Let's trash our players."
Yeah, it was rough, bro. It was rough.
Well, man.
We gotta leave it here. We gotta move on. We're gonna bring it again soon.
Whenever we feel like it.
There was back in the day. All right, Sammy, good to know. I'll have to look up the correlation. Maybe
See some schlongs.
I heard rugby and streaking are pretty common in Ireland. So
Well, I mean, yes, our younger brother was having some fun in Ireland. Is having some fun, I guess you could say.
I love how you said that only related to streaking. You're like, allegedly. All right, bro.
Good talk, man. Glad we did
See
it.
you guys soon.
See you guys later.